great news on this beautiful Thursday afternoon, evening for me already, as the Blizzard intern has either accidentally entered the correct password for the server room or managed to remember it. And as a result, we have a freaking patch. We have PTR notes over here. StarCraft 2 5.0.15, also known as 15, PTR patch notes. Blizzard Entertainment, September 18, 2025. More than 15 years after the game came out, Blizzard apparently still is actively supporting it. Blizzard did forget that the Spire cost is 200 rather than 250, but we'll forgive them that because they remembered the password, which is all I care about. So let's just go over these patch notes real quick. I'll give you my thoughts. I don't want to be too negative because I'm just freaking happy that there's going to be a patch in general. I really was afraid that, you know, the last patch was the last patch, but Blizzard stepping in and doing some work themselves is great to see. So we're starting for Zerg. The Spire cost has been reduced from 250 minerals and 200 gas to 150. Now, like I said, this number is incorrect. This is supposed to be a 200. Maybe it's been fixed already. It has not been fixed yet. Centrifugal hooks now give plus 5 HP bonus to Banelings again. I think that makes a lot of sense. We saw Atrax being very strong in Terran versus Zerg, and Baneling defenses becoming less and less viable. We also saw Baneling compositions way less viable in the Zerg versus Protoss matchup, specifically against Storm. The Banelings were struggling just big time. Spire cost reduction, I think, mainly is for the Zerg versus Terran matchup. People have been asking for a buff to Mutaling Bane, as a lot of people find those games the most fun to watch, and a lot of people find them the most fun to play as well, at least from the Zerg perspective, because it really feels like a lot of things are happening all over the map, especially at the very high level. I'm not sure if the cost of 2 Banelings on the Spire reduction is going to be big enough to get Muta play back. The main reason why high-level Zergs don't play Mutas is because they often die against tank pushes at around 7 minutes, and I'm not sure if 50-50, like 50 minerals, 50 gas is going to be enough to kind of offset not dying against that. It seems like that's not going to be the case. Maybe in combination with the better Banelings that it will be fine, but I'm very, very doubtful of that. Microbial Shroud, I think this is probably the biggest change. Microbial Shroud reduces range attacks by 50% damage. 50% damage, so kind of similar to Dark Swarm in StarCraft 1 Brood War. It now does well against basically every range attack. Before it was just against air, the 50% damage reduction. This is going to be insane against Terran. Think tanks, their range. Think Marines, their range. Marauders, their range. Like, everything that Terran has is freaking range. Against TOS, maybe we're going to see some new compositions as well. Maybe like Roach Infestor pushes or Hydra Infestor. Lurker positions are going to be very tough to break as well. This seems like the most experimental change. I personally think this is going to be extremely broken, but I'm not actually going to complain because A, this is a PTR patch, and I think this type of experimental change is what a lot of people want. So I'm all here for it. I'd be really sad at if the end of the PTR, all the exciting changes are gone. What I'd rather have is that if we see, hey, Microbial Shroud kind of works cool and allows new playstyles, but it's way too strong, I'd rather have that we try to give the other races something strong and experimental again. But I'm not sure what the timelines here are going to be for Blizzard. Like, how long will this PTR last? Is it going to be a month? Is it going to be 3 months? I have absolutely no clue, but I absolutely welcome this type of change. Do I think it's going to be way too strong? 100%. It's crazy, but I'm excited to try it out. I'm excited to see what it will allow Zerg players to do. Up next, Microbial Shroud effect no longer persists for a few seconds after the unit has left the Shroud. So right now, the Shroud still sticks to the units for like 2 seconds or so. That's going to be gone. So really kind of like Dark Swarm in StarCraft Brood War. Up next, Energy Overcharge grant has been reduced from 100 to 50 energy. This is supposed to say recharge, I think, because that's what the ability is called. Makes sense right now, both for Templar and for Hallucinated Phoenix. It feels like there's just too much energy to go around. And maybe here it's going to be more of a decision on whether you want to use it the entire time. It's going to make just hallucination scouting, specifically against Terran, a little bit weaker. And Templar also just a little bit weaker. Rather than getting 2 instant storms when you get a Templar, you now only get a single one. So that's going to make certain attacks out of Terran perhaps a little bit stronger in the mid game. Energy overcharge cooldown reduced though from 60 to 45 seconds. So they're kind of just making it more expensive to get the energy, having to cut out things. And you know what? I'm here for it. I'm not sure if these numbers are correct, but I think the direction that energy recharge is heading into is probably where you want to be going. Mothership HP has been reduced from 350 to 300. I'm okay with that, I think. The Mothership, now that it can't be abducted, did feel very strong, specifically against Zerg. So I think this is a positive change in my mind. Up next, we've got the Psionic Storm duration increased from 2.86 to 8.58. That is about 3.5-ish, I think. 3.5 times as long. But the damage has been reduced from 10 to 5 damage per tick. So it is half the DPS and 3.5 times the length. So overall more damage on static targets, things like lurkers, things like tanks. But it's going to be much simpler to micro out of it, making Storm a little bit more forgiving to play against. In combination with the Banelings, by the way, this is going to be... It's going to be Baneling galore in Protoss versus Zerg, let me tell you. It's going to be Baneling galore. It's going to be tough to stop. Definitely something to keep an eye on. I also like the overall feeling. It felt like Storm against both Terran and Zerg was limiting a lot of playstyles, making the micro very difficult. I do think that certain things are going to become imbalanced, and I hope that we get buffs somewhere else for the Protoss as a result, rather than just... Like, I think this direction is good. Game design-wise, I think this is the type of direction you want to head in StarCraft 2, in my mind. So I hope there's going to be some type of compensation later on down the road, because I think TOS is going to be quite weak against Banelings in particular. Dark Templar Blink attack delay reduced from 0.75 to 0.25. I'm okay with this as well. DT Blink, at least at high level, it seemed like it was being used almost never anymore because of this. Planetaries were surviving a lot. I know a lot of people at lower level said that they still hate playing against DT Blink, and it's really strong there. So maybe just for the sake of them, you could decide to remove it, but I personally like it from the high-level perspective. Surveillance mode now reveals the observers, and surveillance mode increases vision from 13.75 to 15. This is one of the things that I think is also actually a very good direction to go in. One of the most frustrating things when you're playing Terran, and I, as someone that has played a lot of off-race with Terran, knows about this, is when you're not entirely sure whether you've been spotted. There's no other mechanic in the game, really, that grants you this much vision, and you don't know whether you're being seen or not. Like, this is an invisible unit with insane vision range, so you don't know whether your drop is safe to commit with, or if your little run by that you're setting up has been spotted or not. And I absolutely love this change. I think this is a very cool change. In the past, we've made the observer model a bit bigger, so it's easier to spot, but I think this is a fine solution as well. You can still keep it in dead space and have a lot of vision, but it's just gonna become visible for the opponent. So I think that's kind of cool. I do wonder if vision might be too difficult then to get for TOS, but it does grant more vision overall. So we'll see how it works. I need to see this in the game to see how it feels. Up next for Terran, the siege tank can no longer be abducted when in siege mode. I don't like this direction at all. I think balance-wise, I'm not sure if this is good or bad. I think if you have like a siege unit, the Viper, that's kind of what it's supposed to counter. I just don't like that it can't be abducted. It feels weird to me. Because that's kind of what you build Vipers for, I guess, for Blinding Cloud and Abduct. So I'm not a huge fan of that. Viking cost also reduced, 25. That's a pretty big deal against Protoss in particular, against Colossus. Yeah, I wonder if we're going to see more like 2-port all-ins as well in TVT as a result of this. I don't actually know enough about the matchup, but something that just comes to mind. Well, we're going to have to wait and see. Drilling Claws effectiveness increased from 1.07 to 0.71 seconds. So the Drilling Claws has been buffed a little bit again because apparently it wasn't good. I feel like these numbers, they keep going back and forth and eventually will land, at like 0.89 or something, and no one gives a crap. Hyperspeed rotors, the Banshee speed upgrade research time has been decreased to 79 seconds. So it researched a little bit faster. We've seen quite some mech play recently against Protoss, and that's cool. I think with this research time now, it's going to be a viable alternative to Cloak. So you can kind of be like, okay, do I want Cloak or do I want Hyperspeed Rotors as my first one? I think it's going to be interesting to see if any new builds kind of spawn out of that. There's a couple of bug fixes. Cyclone attack upgrade giving +1 instead of +2. Mothership attack at max range. Cyclone lock-on cooldown finally gets fixed as well. And the orbital commands not auto-rallying. There's one bug with the assimilator that still needs to be fixed, but I'm sure that Blizzard is onto that. Overall, a set of changes of which I like the direction. I do wonder about some of the numbers on whether they're correct. But if there's one thing that I've noticed over the past few patch cycles and just when it comes to patches and updates in general, is that once you have more than 3 or 4 like moving parts, it often becomes difficult to predict where the game is going to be heading exactly. And the thing that often is, you know, the best indicator of whether something is broken or not is actually playing the games and kind of figuring it out. Like my gut feeling is that Banelings against TOS are going to be absolutely mental. Microbial Shroud against Terran is going to be absolutely insane as well. But I'm just really excited to play with this. I'm curious how Storm is gonna look. I guess more as a zoning tool overall right now. So I guess we get some new tools in that, but I think this is mainly well, Zerg, there you go. Lots of new toys type of patch. And you know what? I'm kind of here for it. Zerg has been pushed into a corner a little bit recently, so it's cool to see them get some new toys. I'd love to see the other races also get some new toys, if possible. And like I said, I don't know what the patch cycle is going to look like, because this patch kind of, yeah, to me at least, came out of nowhere. I'm happy to see it. Positive vibes to Blizzard, positive vibes to the intern, and positive vibes to all of you as well who still play this game 15 years after it started. And apparently we're still getting updates. So shout out for once, you know. We often criticize the bad boys at Blizzard Entertainment, but today, shout out to you guys as well for this PTR patch. And do you want to see how it works out in practice? I'm going to be streaming a little bit tomorrow. I'm sure I'm going to be playing on some of the PTR stuff as well. So come join me over there. We'll be on YouTube and twitch.tv/Harstem. Thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it. And time to reinstall the game again, Zerg players. Let's freaking go.